Holy.
Oh my God!
That rapid roar of death and dying. Holy.
Oh my God!
Holy.
Oh my God!
Evil.
Students detailing those traumatic moments from inside. Students barricading themselves inside classrooms, closets, anywhere they could hide.
Run to the auditorium! Get everybody down!
As officers go room to room.
Please. Put your phones away.
Some recording disturbing videos of the mayhem, many texting their parents.
A mile and a half away from the high school, and he has been named, according to the Associated Press, citing an unnamed federal official as Nikolas Cruz, 18 years old, described as a former student of the high school, but not a current student. And some reports from students inside the school at the time of the shooting were that the alarm had been pulled for a regularly scheduled fire drill earlier that day, and around 2:30 p.m., that is when this suspected shooter pulled the alarm and then started shooting students as they fled the classrooms to run down the hallways. And so
we begin our program with broken hearts in yet another American town, which today became the site of yet another deadly school shooting. A high school in Parkland, Florida, became the scene of chaos and panic just before the end of the school day. The Broward County Sheriff says at least 17 people are dead. 17 people. A suspect is alive in custody, and as happens too often, we'll keep our focus on the victims, their loved ones, and the survivors. High school kids, teachers, parents, brothers and sisters, people whose lives were lost or forever changed this afternoon. People who tonight have joined a terrible and a senseless club, one that grows by the week in this country. Right now, we're going to show you a short video taken inside a classroom during the shooting. Difficult to watch. It is difficult to listen to. We've blurred the faces of the students.
Holy.
Oh my God!
Holy.
Oh my God!
I'm Brett Bear in Washington. A busy day here in the nation's capital. Several major stories happening here, but we begin tonight in South Florida. There has been a shooting at a high school in Parkland, north of Miami, and there are reports of injuries and what the school superintendent calls numerous fatalities. Now, we have a number of unconfirmed numbers. We're not going to throw those out there right now, but multiple fatalities is what we're hearing from officials at this moment. The suspect is in custody, in fact, being transported now. You're looking live on the scene. Phil Keating is on the scene right now with the very latest. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, Brett. The day absolutely catastrophic, in the words of the Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, who perhaps within 15 minutes is expected to come out here and update the media on this horrific day in Broward County, especially for the families of what have been confirmed by multiple people as multiple fatalities. We just don't know the full total number at this point. Off in the distance, you can see we are just about a quarter of a mile from the high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, a school of 4 grades, 3,000 students, described as your everyday American high school by students who I've spoken with. Well, you got the bomb squad down there. The FBI Mobile Command Center is down there. Hundreds of law enforcement vehicles are here, and no traffic can get closer to the high school at nearby hotels and elementary schools. That is where some of the evacuated students have been taken to rendezvous with their parents in a very panic-filled past 3 to 4 hours this afternoon. All of this happening around 4 or 2:30 Eastern time, right as the school day was just about to end. Helicopter aerials provided by our Miami Fox affiliate WSVN showing students running for their lives into safety with backpacks still on from the school out through the parking lots, reminiscent of what we saw back in the 90s at the Columbine High School massacre in Littleton, Colorado. The suspect was arrested within about an hour and 15 minutes by law enforcement just about a mile and a half away from the high school, and he has been named, according to the Associated Press, citing an unnamed federal official, as Nikolas Cruz, 18 years old, described as a former student of the high school, but not a current student. And some reports from students inside the school at the time of the shooting were that the alarm had been pulled for a regularly scheduled fire drill earlier that day, and around 2:30 p.m., that is when this suspected shooter pulled the alarm and then started shooting students as they fled the classrooms to run down the hallways. And so we do believe inside that school there are casualties that remain on the ground on what is going to be an enormous crime scene. Some of the most tear-felt moments came this afternoon when the Broward County School Superintendent Robert Rincey spoke about what he knew and what he saw at that moment. Take a listen.
Can't confirm the number at this point, but there are fatalities involved here.
Can you tell us at least how many transports? Do you know maybe a dozen?
I don't know the number that's been transported at this point, but again, there are numerous fatalities. It's a horrific situation.
Students and teachers inside the school at the time of the shooting had told law enforcement that the suspected shooter was wearing a black hat, burgundy shirt, black pants, and that is in fact the exact outfit that was being worn by the suspect handcuffed and taken into custody. That suspect, ID'd as Nikolas Cruz, 18 years old, was then taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. We don't know exactly what the extent of his injuries are.
Around 4 p.m., the alleged gunman is taken into custody. This video showing the moments he's taken down. Sources later identify him to ABC News as 19-year-old former student Nikolas Cruz.
He was a former student of Douglas High School. He got expelled for disciplinary reasons. I don't know the specifics.
The school represented something to the shooter, but this is not the first time this has happened. If you think of Adam Lanza at Sandy Hook, he walked into an elementary school where he had attended years before because there was something about that school that he wanted to destroy, and sadly, he did.
Tonight, new information about the alleged shooter. A family member telling ABC News Cruz was adopted along with his younger brother. Both of those parents are now deceased. And a picture beginning to emerge about a man with a troubled past. A former classmate calling him, quote, quiet, that he had an interest in weapons.
I knew he was into guns, and he's like a country kind of boy.
Last year, he had a lot of conflicts in school. I mean, he got in a fight with this one kid, and then from what I know, he wasn't allowed to bring his backpack because they found bullet casings in it.
I even told my parents last year, like almost every week, that I was scared, like this kid might do something.
But according to students who are inside the schools, they have, of course, heard about school shootings throughout their young lives, but they said what happened here today was really unimaginable. Take a listen.
I was praying to God, thinking that he could save us all and that we could make it out alive. I called my parents and it was just all crazy, and like all you could think about is, oh my God, my family, my friends, everything. Like you never think it would happen to you, but it does.
To kill them.
My sister's still in there. She's texting me about it right now. She says to be quiet.
Students' families outside breathless, heart-wrenching reunions, while others frantically wait for answers. Some students and staff still unaccounted for.
The family keeps texting her, and she's texting back, thank God.
Are you a bit relieved?
I'll be relieved when she comes out.
What'd she tell you?
No, she's crying. She can't say anything. She's crying a lot.
This student recalling seeing her teacher shot.
We saw his body for like 30 minutes. We were just like praying and crying, and then the police came and we just got out.
I remember hearing this, somebody down the hall was screaming, like, help me, come save me.
We can't get to her. We can't get a hold of her.
Have you called and you've texted, nothing has come back?
No. Her girlfriend got shot. We heard.
After I heard those shots, I just ran and I was off the property in a matter of 2 minutes. As emergency services tend to casualties, a community is left to come to terms with tragedy and trauma. There have now been 18 reported school shootings in the US since the start of this year, 2018.
And as all of this was still unfolding and police officers and SWAT teams were going classroom to classroom, clearing them out, releasing the students to safety outside of the building, it was truly an unimaginable day as well for elected leaders. The governor, the president, both tweeting out comments and releasing statements expressing their grief and condolences to the families involved. Governor Rick Scott of Florida is on his way down here and should be arriving on the scene very soon here to be here in person tonight. And Senator Bill Nelson spoke with our Shepard Smith this afternoon live on the air, and one of two Florida senators, and he said basically he just seriously laments the fact that he is once again responding to yet another school shooting.
This latest incident is one of the deadliest school shootings in recent US history, bringing America's gun laws to the forefront of political discussion once more.
Each time these mass shootings occur, wherever it is in the country, we say enough is enough. And then it happens again.
Attempts to pass a bill aimed at preventing people on the terrorist watch list from buying a gun have failed twice before. The White House cancelled a press briefing at the time of the attack, with word from the president coming in the form of a tweet expressing his condolences.
As a parent, it scares me to death that this body doesn't take seriously the safety of my children.
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, who represents the state where the Sandy Hook shooting happened 5 years ago, was on the Senate floor as news broke about today's killings.
It only happens here not because of coincidence, not because of bad luck, but as a consequence of our inaction.
And President Trump also responding, tweeting, "No child, teacher, or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school."
No parent should ever have to send their kids to school and have them not return. That should not happen in Parkland. It shouldn't happen anywhere in this country.
Just absolutely pure evil.
Students detailing those traumatic moments from inside.
And all I heard was the gunshots.
So we heard the gunshots. We hid in the tennis courts.
All of the wounded and fatalities, students, or is it a mixture of students and teachers? And can you give anything on motive at this point?
We don't know. Excuse me, if you're going to report, can you move back? Because I keep hearing you. Can you go back there and do that, though? It's very distracting.
Could you get back to whether they're students, teachers, a mixture of both?
It's a mixture. I don't know if there are any teachers, but there will be, there's certainly students and certainly adults.
You said you were hoping that people would come forward and whenever there's signs. Were there any signs that you know of?
I believe there will be once our investigators have, that's a great question. Our investigators have certainly began dissecting social media and looking at the website and the Nikolas, I think we spell his name Nikolas Cruz, was the killer. He is in custody, and we've already began to dissect his websites and the things that social media that he was on, and some of the things have come to mind are very, very disturbing.
Does he have wounds, injuries?
What can you tell us about him? We understand he may be a former student.
He's 19 years old. He was born in 1998 in September. He was a former student of Douglas High School. He got expelled for disciplinary reasons. I don't know the specifics. I think he might have surfaced at Taravella High School. We're still trying to confirm that. And this morning when he woke up, whether he was a student or not, I don't know.
Can you speak to the number of weapons either had and whether or not we heard that a fire alarm was pulled off? Was that in anticipation of the shooting taking place?
I don't know anything about the firearm at this point. He had countless magazines, multiple magazines, and at this point we believe he had one AR-15 rifle. I don't know if he had a second weapon right now.
Can you speak to the fire alarm that was pulled?
I know nothing about it.
Did he say anything when he was apprehended and he was taken to Broward Health North? What are his injuries and how did he get them?
Yeah, I think he's left Broward General North. I don't think his injuries were anything significant. I believe he's en route or has arrived at the public safety building. The investigation will continue. I will keep Broward County informed. Anything that we uncover, anything that's important to impart to the media, we will. I know it's going to be a long night for all of us, but on behalf of my family and BSO family, just continue, please, to pray for these victims and these families. And we'll give you a briefing the next time there's something
Do you
happens.
have a quick timeline from when the first shot was fired and the first law enforcement showed up?
No.
Can you go over the number of fatalities and the victims again? I couldn't hear you.
Yes.
Please.
We have 17 confirmed victims. 12 victims were within the building. Two victims are outside, just outside the building. One victim is on the street at the corner of Pine Island. And 2 folks, people lost their lives at the hospital.
You think this kid woke up this morning and is hell-bent on causing massive destruction at a school?
I have no idea.
So, Sheriff, do you believe the shooting started outside and went inside, or did he go from the inside of the school? Is there any idea?
Started outside and went inside. Thank you. 17 fatalities.
What about injuries?
How many other injuries?
Well, at one point, I reported that there were 14 folks, 14 about people that went to the hospital. 2 succumbed to their wounds. I don't know if that, if more people were wounded, or if we're just finding out that more people went to the hospital. Perhaps they weren't transported by us. Perhaps their own families or friends transported them. But we will keep you updated.
Have all of the families been